What's up, everybody? My name is Steve. This is Claiming Christianity. And let's talk just for a few minutes about the new movie Haunted Mansion. Now, I'm going to preface this with a couple of different things. One thing that I'm not going to ever tell you to do is boycott anything. At least I'm not going to try to do that. But hopefully I'll stimulate some thought and how we live our lives, what we entertain ourselves with. And this is more of just a friendly review, if you will, because I happen to see it. So the preface to this is, if you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you know that Disney kind of, in my opinion, and in my family's opinion, Disney gave up on families, on any form of morals, ethics, and values about a couple of years ago. And when they basically came straight out and said that, again, a couple of years ago, with what they're going to put in their movies and how they're going to entertain and how they're going to use their theme parks and the money, my family just decided we're not going to support them anymore. That's my own decision. And you can go back and watch that movie, watch that video. I think it's called Can Man Live Without the Mouse? So we do not actively participate in funding Disney for the most part. I'm sure Disney has its hands and owns a lot of different companies out there that I probably still buy products from. You can't boycott every company on the entire planet. You just can't. But what we don't do generally is buy movie tickets to go see new movies. I won't let my kids see any new Disney movies for sure. And when this whole thing went down with Disney, I was honestly blessed. My wife and I spent a lot of time at Disneyland when we were getting to know each other. It was kind of our place. We got engaged there at Club 33. So Disney runs deep in our veins. I'm from the Southern California area, so it's really only about an hour away from here. I spent a lot of time there as a kid. And one of the most beloved rides at Disneyland, still today, from what I understand, is the Haunted Mansion. Although Disney, in their attempt to go woke, and to be as woke as possible, is changing a lot of the rides and changing a lot of things in the theme parks. I always liked the Haunted Mansion. It's a fun ride. It just is something you sit back on. It was nice and cool. And for the time, especially when I was a kid, the special effects features were pretty cool that were in there. Well, we didn't exactly buy tickets to this movie, but my wife and I happened to go see movies at Regal essentially for free. Which is not a blessing. We pay like $20 a month and we can go see as many movies as we want for as free as we want. You just walk in. So we thought, we'll go see this movie. We saw the trailer, and even in the trailer, I was thinking to myself, this looks kind of like a dark movie. It looks kind of like it's going to be scary. And as a human that has eyeballs and ears, almost every movie that comes out in the recent past, if you've been paying attention, is some kind of thriller and has some kind of dark, occulty theme to it, in my opinion. There's very few just normal movies that come out that are just entertaining. They always have propaganda, or they're dark, thriller, killer movies. And this movie is really no different. And that's sad. So I'm doing a review here today, not only to talk about the movie The Haunted Mansion, because I think this was opening weekend, but just to spur some thought for you. As Christians, we need to be who we claim to be, entertain ourselves with things that are not horrible, things that are edifying, things that are uplifting, at least to the best of our ability, right? I've long said that if you're a Christian, there's a whole lot of TV shows you just straight up ought not be watching. They shouldn't be a part of your life. It shouldn't be something you're actually even attracted to watch. But, they're out there and we're going to see them. And what should we show our kids and what should we not? So here's my little review of the Haunted Mansion. And you guys can take this for what it's worth. I'd be interested to hear your comments. Even if you're going to yell at me, I'd be interested to hear your comments. Now, the first thing I noticed before I went to see the movie, because once again, we didn't have to buy tickets like normal. Yes, Disney still, we're going to be counted in the opening weekend. But was that the movie is PG-13. Now, is that really that bad, you might ask? Well, maybe it's not really that bad. But what I might ask is, it's a Disney movie. Now, yes, I understand they've branched out and they have Marvel and they have the Star Wars movies. And those movies are a little bit more than PG or even just G. But my first question is, once again, this is not the first time I've thought this. Once again, my first question is, really? I mean, I'm assuming they're appealing to what's called Disney adults now. You can go research all about that. Disney adults is a phrase that has been assigned to adults who essentially never grew up and never grew out of Disney life, and they're causing all kinds of problems at the theme park for people. And this channel isn't about that, and I'm not going to discuss all that. But I'm guessing they're appealing to that crowd, and they're not appealing to children anymore. Either that, or they know that for the most part in this world, most people just let their children watch and do whatever the heck they want to do. Because it's like, really, it's a ride that's beloved by, I know, a great deal of Americans for sure, because Disneyland has been around for a long time, and everybody knows the ride, the Haunted Mansion, okay, where happy haunts materialize, grim, grinning ghosts come out to socialize. What we're not going to get into in this video is ghosts and the occult and whether that's a positive or a negative thing, because scripture is very clear on that. We need to steer clear of trying to conjure up spirits and trying to use dark forces. However, it's just a ride. You sit in the ride and you look at the entertainment, and it's, kind of this type of thing. But the idea behind the ride, we're not talking about the theology of it. The idea behind the ride is that it's fun. It's fun. It's happy. The ghosts might hitchhike with you. It's not scary, or at least it's not designed to be scary. Designed to be like a horror type of ride, like you might encounter at like a Halloween event at a theme park. Okay, so that's what most Americans, and my guess is a lot of the world, thinks of the Haunted Mansion, because Disneyland, Walt Disney World, and now there are Disneys all over the world. That's what they see when they ride the Haunted Mansion. Is this just happy-go-lucky kind of experience what when it was built was kind of a cool set of special effects. What you get with the movie is not that, and that's my opinion. I'm giving the movie a meh, kind of like a 2.5 thumbs down. Okay, because here's the problem, in my opinion. They took what is happy and what is kid-oriented, because Disneyland started as being oriented towards kids and families, and they made it kind of scary. Now, asterisk, whatever, there may be spoilers here. I'm not going to tell you about the movie, and I'm going to do my best to not give you spoilers. But we're just being real here. So first and foremost, my encouragement would be to not see it for 2 reasons. I encourage you not to put any further money into the Walt Disney Corporation. They just haven't learned their lesson. They just haven't learned that their primary demographic are families and young kids, and our families and young kids don't need kind of the propaganda. They just need the little dancing characters that have been animated to have fun with and to enjoy. Right? That's really what we needed. So number one, the encouragement would be for that reason. I'm encouraging to not, this is not an encouragement to boycott. I'm not going to use that word. I'm just encouraging you not to dump any money into Disney, because we vote with our wallet, right? And they'll either learn or they won't. So, and that's kind of what I would want for my family, is that they just go back to what they were doing in the first place, which is entertaining children when it comes to movies and stuff. And the second thing I just encourage you not to go see this movie in particular, because this movie does have a lot of what I'm going to call occult in it. And that's the biggest problem. And that's where we can get into some theological stuff, is we are told in scripture as Christians to stay away from that stuff. You don't play around with it. You don't think about it. You don't participate in these things. And what could have been just kind of a happy-go-lucky movie, if you remember, years and years ago, Eddie Murphy was in the first version of the Haunted Mansion, and while it didn't do very well, because it's not that fantastic of a movie, I like it much better than this movie, because it was a little more happy, it was a little more comedy, it was a little more just what the Haunted Mansion, what I feel as a kid and having grown up at Disneyland riding these rides, what the Haunted Mansion, it kind of captured that a little bit better. This particular movie, it just was dark. There was a lot of scary stuff in it because it was about ghosts, and had mean ghosts in it, and it kind of tried to tell the story of why the mansion is how it is, and it had a couple of key characters. It also stole a whole bunch of phrases, right? It didn't steal it because it's the Disney Corporation, but 999 souls, the happy haunts, right? If you ride the ride, they have 9, and there's always room for one more. So you're going to hear these phrases that you would have heard in the ride, but they're used in like a really negative, really dark way. And there's a number of, again, spoiler alert, if you really don't want to hear this, there's a number of like seances where we're trying to conjure up spirits and interact with that realm and kind of manipulate the spirit world and these ghosts that are out to get you, kind of a thing, in this house that wants to capture you, and one main ghost that is essentially just kind of out for blood. Now, what you don't see is a whole bunch of like horror scenes. I don't want you to think that. It's only a PG-13 movie. You don't see a whole bunch of horror scenes, but you do have these scary ghosts that are popping up and popping out. The movie is dark a lot of the time, like actually physically dark a lot of the time. There are seances that happen kind of throughout the movie. And yes, there is some comic relief because of the cast and because of the way that it was made. But I just walked out of the theater thinking, meh, like, why did you need to take it to that place? And so here, as we wrap up here, this video ended up being longer than I expected it to. But as we wrap up, here's my thought on that. It's just that question that I just asked. Why did you have to take it there? Why did you have to make most, if not all, and by most I mean 95% of the movie is more scary and more thriller-like? I'm not going to say thrilling because that word could be taken different ways, but thriller-ish. Most of the movie is that. Why does it have to be that? Why can't it just be an entertaining kids movie based on a ride we've all kind of come to know and love? And that would wrap me around to being cautious about what you choose to entertain yourselves with. Now, once again, I'm not, I encourage you not to see it because I encourage you not to dump any money into the Walt Disney Corporation because of what they stand for and because how they choose to use their influence on not only humans, but our children. But this is not a call for a boycott or anything like that. You're going to raise your family as you see fit. But here at this channel, you know that if you're claiming to be a Christian, that means raising your family according to Scripture. And it's helpful to be knowledgeable about this kind of stuff. It might be helpful for a guy like me to be telling you what I think and what I saw in this movie as kind of a review. No, I did not take my children. Just so you kind of know what to expect. If you choose to go see it, great. If you choose to wait till it streams for free and watch it in your house, great. There's no judgment here. I just wanted you to hear a little bit of a review of this movie that really could have been kind of fun and could have been, it could have brought back a lot of childhood memories of not only the ride, but the feeling of being on the rides and the trips to Disneyland we took. Instead of that, in my opinion, it was just this scary bunch of ghosts and demons and seances that are kind of happening throughout the movie, and these humans that are trying to interact with these ghosts and kind of that whole thing. And I just think that, to be honest with you, I just think that that's garbage. I don't think that that's something that I want my kids to watch for sure. It's not something I would have chosen to watch. It just was, once again, free. And if I have the opportunity to see a movie like this, to share with you what I think, to help you make a decision as a Christian, to help you make a decision as maybe a parent or a grandparent, I hope that this helped do that. I hope that this spurred the thought process in your mind, what we're filling our minds with. We were sitting with my daughter the other day. Our family just got back from a large family trip, extended family with my wife's parents and her sisters and our sisters and brother-in-laws and such. And my father-in-law mentioned to my daughter, which is right on it, just came up as far as TV came, garbage in, garbage out. when you fill the garbage up, that's what's going to come pouring out. And wouldn't you know it, our pastor this morning, in the middle of his sermon, talked about the conditions of the heart. You can tell what people are thinking. You can tell what people want by what they say, by how they act, because Scripture tells us, right? Out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. And if we're filling it up with garbage, if we're filling it up with occult and darkness and sadness and thriller-like material and murdering and ghosts, what do you think's going to start coming out, my friends? So I hope this has just caused a little bit of thought for you, and helped you to maybe make a decision when it comes not only whether you're going to see this new movie Haunted Mansion, but how you're going to approach watching any movies that come out. Hey, let me know if you like this kind of content. This is a little bit different than we normally do. Of course, there's always going to be Bible reviews. I got a bunch, actually right above my head. You can't see them. I got a bunch to review. We have some teachings coming out. After this video, the next video is on systematic theology, a little bit of a teaching and a review of Wayne Grudem's systematic. So that content is always going to be there. But you know what? I think to myself, if we're claiming to be Christians, if what I say at the end of this video is don't forget, be the Christian you claim to be. Part of that's moving through life, a very real world, very real humans, most of whom are not Christians. And how do we navigate and how do we negotiate that? What are some things that can help us make decisions and fill our mind up with what's good and what's not, and maybe reviewing movies, and talking a little bit about that. Reviewing popular TV shows. I'm not going to spend all my time watching movies and watching TV shows, but what I'm saying is, if you liked this video, if you liked, at the very least, hearing one guy's opinion, who's a Christian guy, and what he saw in this particular movie, let me know, because if you appreciated that, again, I always like hearing from my Christian friends. I have pastor friends and solid Christian friends that I know, hey, if they say don't go see it, I'm confident that it's not something my family needs to see. And I appreciate that. Movie like, I encouraged everybody to go see Sound of Freedom, but I really appreciated those that said, oh, no, you guys go see that movie. It's really important you see it in the theater, but be careful with your kids. The content might be a little bit too much for them because they might be a little too young. I always appreciate hearing that as a Christian guy who's trying to raise my family to the best of my ability. So maybe this video helped you out in that area too. Hey, thank you for all those who pray and support this ministry here at Claiming Christianity. I continue to be thankful for you guys and look forward to continue to putting things out. Don't forget, be the Christians you claim to be.